What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. My name is Dalibor, and today we're talking about monitors.
Whatever it is that you do the damn thing.
Now, someone recently asked the question with the SL1, which is what I'm using to record this, how would you get to see yourself, right? There is no flip out screen on this thing. How can you see yourself? Right? How do you get around that limitation? Well, typically you would go with one of these guys. This is the newer, what is this? I forget the model number. It's right on screen here. It's a newer monitor. It's a 7-inch, I believe. It's a pretty decent solution for this particular problem. However, what I'm doing right now is pretty much the main advantage of it, right? You have the focus assist mode that you could turn on, and what that does is it shows you what's in focus. Now I've set this camera to manual focus, and if I go out of focus here, it's definitely on purpose kind of thing, you know? So then I can look at this and say, hey, you know what? Boom. It's focused. It's peeking here on my glasses, which is where I want your attention. Beyond that, for this specific camera, that's about all this does. I mean, it shows you yourself. You can mount it even like right here. You can mount it ahead of the camera a little bit, depending on how you're zoomed in. And you can see yourself pretty decently, right? But now, if you are, let's say, shooting full wide, now you gotta pull back a little bit and to be able to see yourself and still be looking towards the lens. I'm like right next to the lens because if I pull forward, it's right there. So like, I mean, yeah, I'm basically right next to the lens. So now in most cases, that's going to be a good solution for something like this where you don't have a flip out screen, or even if you do have a flip out screen and it's really tiny. I mean, this is a 3-inch screen and it's pretty solid if you're right here, but if you're back here where the camera is right now, I'd be looking up, so it's a little different, and B, even with focus peaking, which this camera doesn't have and this camera doesn't have, I wouldn't be able to tell if I was in focus. How many times have I not been in focus on this channel? Please, no one count. That would be a huge hit to my ego. And that's all well and good, right? On top of some of the features it has, which I'm actually just gonna link to the product down below. You can check out the features. They're not very wide. There's not a ton of features, but it's a good, I would say, starter monitor for on the go. The reason I say for on the go is because if you're at home, you likely, most likely, and in my opinion should, but let's say just most likely, have a computer monitor. And it's 2021, so it likely has an HDMI input. So with the same cable, or even with an adapter like I have to use, you get any monitor, any computer monitor. This is like a little 21-inch that I've been using up here. That becomes your monitor. That's how you see what you're doing. Now, you're not going to get focus peaking. You're not going to get a bunch of these fancy features. For the most part, if you're at home and using autofocus, you can hold the shutter and you'll see that it focuses on your face, and then you're good to go. You can just continue on with your video knowing that you're focused. I turned off the video, what they call it, servo focus, so that it autofocuses during shooting. So once this is set, it's not going to do autofocus on its own. This is how I do all my podcasts for Panels on Pages. This is how I think I would like to do all of my shooting in-house. Because yes, while this thing is fantastic as far as a mobile solution, something you can do on the go, something you can slap onto a cage, which is what I did when I did the wedding shoot last year. I slapped this on top of a cage. I actually did use it with the SL1, and I was looking through this. I never looked at the camera. I was looking through this to make sure things were in focus, to make sure that I was getting the shots. I relied on this heavily. But if you're at home, you don't need something that's meant for mobile, and you can most likely benefit from something that's a bigger display. In my case, even with this thing, it's still a tiny display area. It only takes up about 2/3 of the display space. And downstairs, for instance, I'm setting up to shoot from about 3 feet away, so I wouldn't be able to see that because it's a wider angle. I would need to mount it somewhere right in front of me, which for my use case is going to be defeating the point entirely, since I'm going to be looking to not have anything on the floor, no tripods or anything, everything hanging off the ceiling. That's my goal. So for me, I needed something that's a little more practical of a solution. I have a 24-inch TV that I haven't used in ages. It's literally been collecting dust downstairs. So I was like, hey, why don't I just mount that off the ceiling with another tack form arm and have myself a adjustable, movable display for shooting, and it's off the floor and it's off a table. It's kind of nice. I like the idea. I've been doing this for a while, and I literally was staring at that while I was cleaning up recently. I was staring at this TV and I was like, hey, I could use that. It was just collecting dust. So if you're at home, I don't think you need a monitor like this. I don't think you need a professional monitor. I don't think you need a mobile monitor like this. Any monitor with HDMI or DVI, because you can adapt it, will work. I have been playing with this for quite a while. I'm understanding the majority of the features, so I will do a full video on this. I've really just been holding off since I didn't know how to approach it, because it had some drawbacks that I really want to talk about, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't overlooking something, that I wasn't missing something and not understanding how it works. So I will be doing a full video on the newer monitor, but for now, I wanted to just say that you don't need it. You don't need it if you're doing talking head pieces like this. You don't need it if you're shooting at home, because more than likely you've got a TV or you've got a monitor that you can just plug an HDMI cable into. I will link down below this monitor as well as the HDMI cable that would come with it, and we will be doing a review on this soon. Next week, Tuesday, I'm putting this on video so that I can hold myself accountable. Next Tuesday, since we skipped this week, I will be putting out a review on a gimbal for action cams. It's been long overdue. I've honestly just found it hard to explain all the things about it because it's kind of weird. We'll talk about it on Tuesday. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you Saturday with the narrative video.